Right. Good evening. I hope everyone is doing all right. It's evening for me. So if it's morning for you, then good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever. Gute Nacht, hallo, wie geht's Sie? Comment ça va? Whatever suits your fancy. Now, I'm going to be a bit crude, a bit cold today, but I'm going to address directly to any reform supporters or anyone that is falling under their specific type of interaction with people, their species, and their lives. If you are one of those people, those persons that has fallen under the entire, we have to leave the ACHRs to get back our sovereignty, to control immigration, whatever shit you are listening from those people, let me tell you this. That will do absolutely bloody nothing. Because you see, the problem is not the immigrants coming in. The problem is twofold. The problem is the incompetence of successive British governments. This did not start with Labour. Labour is not to blame for this now. This has to do with an UK that simply left the EU and it did not have a clue of what it should or should not do in regards to immigration. Because on one hand, they cut completely the immigration from the EU. They have made it absolutely impossible for people from Europe to work and live in the United Kingdom. Okay? With rare exceptions, it's absolutely impossible to do so. Ah, and also, of course, with the increasing cost of life in the UK, it has also become very unprofitable to work in the UK because people were going to the UK because they were earning more than they earned in Europe. For example, a good nurse from Portugal could earn a certain amount in Germany or in France if they wanted to immigrate. And if they went to the UK, because the cost of life was more or less lower than in Germany and in France, they could earn a lot of more money that they could send back home or whatever, or they could buy a house in the UK. Some of them got married with UK residents, okay, UK citizens. It was easy and it was profitable, okay. As I told you before, even though I don't do that anymore, up until my late 20s, I was a baker. And I can tell you that a good baker, good Portuguese baker in the UK, in patisserie maker and all of that, a good baker, Portuguese baker in the UK would earn 4 times more than you would earn here in terms of cool money, if you understand. That money that you put in the bank after taking care of all of your living expenses. And right now, I know a friend that does that, that is now in Germany. He told me that when he left, he was already practically paying to work because he had to go into his savings in order to endure the complete disconnection between the pay and what he was and the amount of money that he had to spend to take care of himself and of his wife. Okay, and people continue to have this idea that immigrants are invading the UK. No. Number one, you don't have manpower to feed your own economy. Europe has the same problem all over Europe, and either we change the way we are doing economy and manufacture with automatization, with a lot of things, or we will need more hands on deck to do the jobs. Okay? Here, for example, a lot of Portuguese descendants from Brazil, they're returning home because there is jobs here, there is a life here, and also from South America. So much so that the government has had to put into place laws. But the difference here is that here governments put into practice laws and they solve the matter. And you want to know why? Because unlike the idiots of reform that blame the people that come in the dinghies, and you that are following the same routine, you are doing exactly the same. Around here, I don't I don't blame the migrants. I don't blame them. I blame my government for being incompetent. That is one of the reasons why the Socialist Party that was in power here was kicked out in the latest election. Sorry, because they were being bloody incompetent. Because in the first years of their mandate, they were doing an excellent job, but in the second term of another mandate that they were also that they also won in the elections, they were just doing bloody shit. They were things that did not evolve, and the current government is now cleaning up the shit that they did. It is here where we have PR and where we kick the idiots out of power and where we don't have biased media that keeps on feeding you what they want you to hear. Because you see, you want to know why the UK has such a large GDP. Do you think it's because of all that you produce inside of your country? Or is it because of the stupid and obscene amounts of untaxed money that is in the city? And if you did not have London, you would be almost a third world country. And you keep asking yourselves why Scotland wants to be independent. If I was a Scottish person, I would want to be bloody independent too, because it's Westminster and all of that corruption and all of that greed that is transforming the United Kingdom, that once was a pragmatic place, a country with pragmatic people, and that was the strength for the United Kingdom. It has become into a country of idiots. And if some of my English friends are listening to me, my friends, I'm sorry, but you know that I'm always honest. I don't mince words. When I think I have to say something, I will say it. I will say it because I prefer uncomfortable truths to convenient lies. And this type of speech that I have found here in my channel, in the channels of other people, and in other channels where I participate too, that are not even directly related to politics, to Brexit, to the United States, to all of this, I keep hearing the same shit. And I have made an extreme effort not to be a bit blunt with people because sometimes, look, I'm a bit stoic, I'm a bit unemotional, and I don't like to speak on emotions because emotions are very bad advisors. But this is a question that is absolutely factual and practical. Okay, Brexit ruined the United Kingdom. Brexit ruined your manufacture, ruined your fisheries, ruined your farming, and it was not because this is not the Brexit I voted for. This is because this is an impossibility. We are not living in the 19th century. We are not we are not living in some kind of mythical world where you had the British Empire and all of that shit. That's dead. Live with it. And you still have the same basic structure of governance that you had when you had an entire colonial empire to sustain that all of that then you replace with the money that kept pouring into the city. But first you had the empire, then you had the Commonwealth, and then you had the EU. The EU, okay, was basically subsidizing your lifestyle. You had cheaper food because you could buy it practically tax free from the EU and then sell it in your supermarkets with a little tiny profit margin for the grocers. And then when came, sorry, they could no longer sustain it. Then you tried alternatives. You tried to export from here and export from there. The issue here is this: geography, like like gravity, like economy, they have no bloody feelings. If you jump off the building, you are going to drop to the bottom. If you want to run from point A to point B, if point B is closer to the point A where you are, you will take much less time running from point A to point B than from point A to point C. Transporting food, having trade agreements with other countries, says that you have costs. You can have few costs, more costs. But let me tell you this: how much does it cost, for example, to import oranges instead of importing them from Spain or Portugal that produce oranges? Instead of importing them from here, how much do you think it costs to transport the same oranges from South Africa? And you can have as many trade agreements you have with South Africa. And don't you start with that, oh, the South Africans will eat the cost. No, they won't. And your companies will import the oranges from South Africa, they won't eat the costs. You can import a lot from Morocco, and I know you do, because unlike some people, I take a look at the statistics and at the data before I open my mouth to speak shit. This is as simple as this, and I'm not going to talk about this crap anymore. I will simply ignore whatever waffle I hear about it because it's a waste of time. I will focus, for example, in the new agreements that Starmer is trying to make with the EU. And as I said also in the past, I don't like Starmer. I think he's trying to please everyone, and I don't think that will be successful. He's only feeding that monster that is called reform. That is truly a monster. That is the only thing he's doing with his politics because he's appearing to be weak, and the media continues to support Nigel Farage and all of those people that are behind him. But Starmer at least is trying. And let me put this into perspective. The EU, the countries inside of the EU, they do not need to adapt to any legislation and any regulation in the UK. We simply will not sell to you. Simple. And we don't care where you go get your products from because we won't eat them. So it's no problem of ours. We can sell elsewhere. The UK used to be one of the largest trading partners of Portugal. After Brexit, there were a few areas that continue as they were before. Much to the cause of, for example, the 42,000 British citizens that became Portuguese citizens in 2022. A lot of your citizens either got their dual nationality, or what is much worrying, and that I would be worried about if I was a British citizen, they simply renounced their British citizenship and they only kept their Portuguese citizenship. Those people, those family ties between certain families, has kept a lot of business alive. But a lot of it simply died. I will give you a simple example: chemicals that are used in the food industry. The food industry uses some chemicals that are needed. The UK was the major supplier of those goods to Portugal. You want to know who is the major supplier now? The Netherlands. The USA, it also took in a lot of our commerce. Let's call it like this, in textiles and all of that. Now the USA is behaving badly, and we are shifting to Canada, for example, to Asia, to China. China is buying a lot. We are simply diverting the trade. We don't need to sell to the UK. The issue here is this: who needs who? And people in the United Kingdom still are mistaking, not understanding that the goodwill of Europe is goodwill, because we don't want to have an alien country in Europe. We don't need another Russia. We already had Russia to worry about. We already have the Orban's Hungary and all of these nutters. We also have that situation in Serbia, that people like to talk about Serbia like it's this monster, but that is not a monster that was born out of nothing. That monster was created by Russia, by Europe, and by the United States. And in Europe, I'm including the UK. But you do not seem to see the bigger picture. The Serbs have a lot to complain about. If any Serbian person that is listening to me, I will tell you this: if you don't like Europe, I understand you. I fully understand you. I don't understand why you are supporting Russia, that it's doing what it is doing in Ukraine. That I can never understand. But if you tell me that you are very suspicious, that you have a lot of doubts, how will I say this? If you feel ill will, I will tell you this, my friend: I understand you. And the only way to solve all of this is to sit down at the table and discuss things and talk about things. Talk about important things like Kosovo. A lot of people seem to think this is solved, this is solved, this is solved. No, this is not solved. We all know why Kosovo is so important to Serbia. We all know why it's so important for people in Kosovo to not want to be a part of Serbia. And we all need to discuss this. But the only way to do it is to sit down at the table and discuss things. And people in the UK, you don't have that ability to sit down and discuss things with other people. Because when Brexit happened, the UK was offered. Look, I will give you one example. One example that I heard someone that discussed the Brexit agreement talk about. The free movement of people. The UK was offered to maintain the free movement of people under circumstances, okay? But if we are going to have a border between the EU and the UK, it's a border, but they were offered that plug. You know what Mr. Boris Johnson said? No, it will damage our sovereignty. And what the fuck is sovereignty to those people? Sovereignty to have UNICEF supporting children inside of the UK? Sovereignty to have the rivers full of filth? And then you say, oh, the Seine is dirty. Well, yes, right now, no. Right now the Seine is clean. But yes, it was dirty. Every country has an issue. But here we solve it. You wallow. You wallow in your own pity party. And that is absolutely infuriating. Look, I said this in a comment. I don't recall if I made a video where I spoke about it too, but I have a friend that works for a German company that was sent to the UK in working. You want to know what his company did? They sent him a memo telling him to only drink bottled water and European water if he could find it. They told him to be careful when he was bathing. They told him not to go to the seashore, not to go to the rivers. Don't not swim, don't do anything because he was working. Well, you want to know where? In England. Okay, and I know that Scotland is a different case. I know even Northern Ireland is a bit different. Wales, sorry, I don't know anything about Wales. My knowledge of Wales is very reduced. You understand this? In your beautiful country, people are being told not to touch the water and not to drink tap water. You remember that joke that you Brits used to say, don't drink the water in Ibiza? Well, right now, you can drink the water in Ibiza, but you can't drink the water in London. And you keep listening to Farage, to Tice, to all of those people that are just, they don't want your good. They don't want you to be good. They don't offer any solutions. Even the ECHR, as I told you, is not a bloody solution. It's another nail to the coffin. It's another way of making your life even more miserable so that they can control you. Control is the key word here. Have you heard anyone, for example, say something as simple as this, like they did here? There was a military base that was not being used a lot of years ago, but near Lisbon. The government took over that military base and then transformed it with all the conditions into a place where migrants that are waiting for either to be approved or be deported, okay, to be able to stay in the country. People come in through the airport if they or from boats or whatever. If they don't have any conditions, they go there. They are provided with normal conditions of living, a place to stay, clean place to stay, protection for children, for women, whatever. And then we filter things. Political asylum seekers in one side, migrants, economic migrants in another side. And then we decide. We process people. This is why, right? And this was where the previous government was failing, and now this government comes in and they have to clean the house. Because, like I said in another video that you can watch, Portugal was already being threatened, and I think we were fined, but threatened with fines by the other countries, especially Germany, where they all seem to want to go, because we were not doing our job. And now we have to do our job. Everyone has to do their jobs. Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Greece, everyone has to do their jobs. And this is how things work here. And when you try to compare the United Kingdom with, say, France, it's like trying to compare someone that is sitting in a car moving down the highway with a person that is sitting alone in another car in the same highway. You cannot compare the same situation. You cannot compare the GDP. You cannot compare the public debt. You cannot compare nothing except the exterior exterior normal indicators of an economy, like for example, unemployment, like for example, number of companies. That is where you can compare both countries. It's the only place. If you try to compare GDP, no, because your money, the money that your country still has, it's all in the banking. It's all in the financial market. It's not in the state. The state is not taking advantage of that profit. And when people talk about taxing the rich and taxing property, what do you get? You get that carnival with Pierce and Farage claiming they are defending the farmers. You have that carnival. You have people saying, "Oh, they will go away if we tax them." No, they won't go away. If they are still making a profit, you think they will go away. And if they go, fuck them. Because you want to know what those people are doing. They are like leeches on your economy, siphoning money outside of your country. You still have bloody Russian oligarchs in your country. You still have them. A lot of them now are probably British citizens. They even come to vacation in Europe because we have to let them in because they are British, and then parade around in Paris and whatever, and send pictures to their Instagram to show their peers in Russia that look, we are still here. You are there, but we are here. And you in the United Kingdom, you are all oblivious to all of this because you only see the news that they feed you. You don't see actual news. Well, here I see actual news. I see Portuguese news, Spanish news, French news, German news, Italian news. I see it. Swiss news, American news also. I siphon through it, even though it's so filled with shit in the late months because of that wacko in the White House. Et je parle français, donc je comprends. Je n'ai pas parlé au français déjà beaucoup de années, mais je comprends tout ce qui s'est dit et écrit. Und ich spreche also auf Deutsch. Deutsch für mich ist Portugiesisch. Egal. So, when you come to talk with me, speak about what I'm saying, and you say, oh, he doesn't know. Oh, he doesn't see. Oh, he doesn't understand. When I don't understand, you want to know what I do? I say, fact check me and make me a comment that explains things to me. I have had wonderful comments in this channel of people with opinions that are not mine, that are far from my opinions, but that actually make sense. But as soon as you start talking shit and talking narratives and talking troll talk that I know from other, because a troll is not just an auto troll or someone that enters into a chat to disrupt people. There are also those that come into discussions in the comment sections and try to spew their lies, try to spew their narrative, and they think that me, a guy with 50 that is 50 years old now, I'm fucking old right now, that has been in this game for decades, whatever, I'm losing my words, okay, that has been around computers since he was 6 years old. Okay, you think that I don't understand? I never saw those tactics. When I was a kid, okay, you know how those tactics came from. They came in through the newspapers, the fanzines, all of that, to the radio, word of mouth, and right now They're coming online since the 90s. They started to come to appear online. And it's the same absolute dumb speech, the same dumb narrative. You have a problem with immigration. You don't understand why that is happening. First it was the EU is punishing us. The French are punishing us. Everybody's punishing us. Oh, they are flooding our streets. Oh, they are attacking our people. And instead of going to the root of the problem and see why those people are there, no, let's attack them. It's easier. It's easier for Jim Bob from the neighborhood to get a horn and talk some shit about the immigrants instead of understanding why they are there. But if someone like me tells you this, well, he's a liberal. No, I'm not. I have said this before. I don't like bloody extremes. Extremes are stupid. People that see a world in a dogmatic form are stupid. If you are unable to see the world as a continuous change, you are stupid. I'm sorry, but you are stupid. Not ignorant, because ignorant is someone that is unable, that does not know something, but that can be educated, that can learn. And a stupid person is a person that knows clearly, that has reasoning, that understands things, that is able to have a reasoning, and that persists in a mistake. All the time that British citizens are wasting painting flags, I think that's the new crave, painting flags and screaming at hotels with migrants. All the time that you are wasting doing that, you should be screaming in Westminster and telling them, find conditions for these people to be instead of being in hotels. Oh, we don't have money, we don't have money. You don't have money, then cut the money you give to the royals and cut the privilege that you give to yourselves. Oh, but I guess that will be against the British idea of let's carry on, carry on. You know what you need? You need a revolution, and not a violent one. You need a revolution. You need a revolution in which you demand that the privileges of a few are cut. Are cut. That you end this shit because your state can no longer sustain it. First, they bled the colonies. Then they bled the Commonwealth. Then they bled Europe. Indirectly, but they bled Europe. And now, nothing more remains except you. You are the one that is left to be bled. And if you think they won't bleed you, you are sorely mistaken. And stop comparing yourselves with Europe because we have our own problems too. I have also spoken about those problems in my videos. You have to understand this. If I was you, right now, instead of Googling for hate words and for easy videos where they tell you absolutely everything that you want to hear, okay, just go Google and see how much, for example, the royals and all of that cost you. And I'm not speaking ill of the king. I don't know the man. I don't know if he's a good person or a bad person. I'm criticizing the system. Then go and see how much a British MP gains. Then go and see how much someone in your local council earns. Then go and see how much your vote really is worth in a in a in a in a in a vote in an election. to elect one person. For example, if it's a council that elects that person, whatever, go and make that math in your head. Afterwards, go see how much Farage, how much Johnson, how much all of those pardon me, how much all of those characters have earned and are earning since Brexit. See who is paying them. See who owns the news, the media from which you obtain your informations. Go and see it. And then try and watch some European news. Euronews, France 24, Swiss news, Portuguese news, Spanish news, okay? They all have channels in English too. And if they don't have channels in English, you have the Google Translator. Today, you have the tools to not be limited to what your own news outlets tells you. And this is one of the reasons why they have been investing so much in 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 trying to control the internet, because it has provided you with the tools to educate yourself without needing to bow down to anyone. If you can afford to have an online connection, and I don't know how it is in the UK, but around here you can even go to the library, sit down with your device, and have free access to the internet. There's also internet in the courthouses, everywhere, free. Okay, you can just sit down and do your thing. The internet doesn't serve solely for you to listen to the narratives that are convenient to you. They also serve for you to see the reality of other people. And there are British YouTubers that are showing what is happening in the UK. They show it. They don't show solely neighborhoods invaded by migrants, crime. They don't show us just that. They also show the streets, also show the people, also show things like I saw of a father, a white father, okay, a white couple, that a father that was divorced, and then whenever he had his two kids for the weekend with him, that his ex-wife, the mother, would take the kids to be with him, that man would not eat so that their children could have a decent meal. He ate the scraps of his children. He drank a cup of tea. He heated the room where his kids would be staying. He went cold. He went hungry. And if I was that man, I would also be filled with anger, filled with hate. And your government, instead of tending to the needs of that man, is letting reform and all of those people to continue to spew their hate against a convenient target, instead of directing all of that hatred to the government to make them fear you, because the government has to fear their citizens. The government needs to fear their citizens. The government needs to fear things like happen right here, where the Socialist Party and a lot of parties in the left were completely obliterated. And you want to know why? Because they were doing jack shit. And if I say this, they will call me a right-winger, a fascist. Maybe it's convenient to call me a fascist, just like those idiots that called me a fascist when I was a kid, because I'm part German and I spoke German with my grandfather. So it was very convenient to call me a fascist, even if my bloody family has been here, okay, since before World War One. In fact, I said they came here before even there was a Germany. My family comes from East Prussia. that was wasted by the Nazis, by the Soviets, and that today is Poland. But I'm still a Nazi because I don't like convenient and convenient pies because I want to I want to give an opinion. And if you don't want to listen to my opinion, my friend, don't watch my videos, please. But just don't waste my time with useless comments. If you are civil, they will stay where they are. If you are not civil, I'll kick you out. I don't care. I am not here to make money with this channel. If I wanted to make money with the channel, it would be rather easy. I could make a channel, one in Portuguese, in French, in German, okay, in Italian, in Castilian, that is Spanish for you Americans, and even in other languages that I'm not going to say I speak or I do not speak, because I don't want to. But in these languages, it would be rather easy for me. Très facile pour moi. Aucun problème. No, with a better or worse accent, I would have no issues with it. I'm doing this channel. I am doing this channel because I think it's important to have as many voices as possible talking about things, discussing things, having discussions, not monologues. This is why I always say this. Let's call it this this story, whatever. I am just the guy sitting with you in a coffee shop. Okay, we are both having our little espressos and we are talking because people have lost the ability of actually talking with each other, of having a discussion, but the discussion in the real sense of a discussion. All you see is narratives. All you see is people spewing narratives at each other and not going, for example, to the center of the thing, to the focus, to the logic of things. Like this that I'm telling you. You don't like migrants. You don't like so many people coming into your country for whatever reasons. I don't care what the reasons are. Then you don't attack the migrants. You protest your government that is the incompetent fool that is letting that happen. And don't tell me they don't have money. Like I said, you have where to get that money. You can tax the rich. Even here, this is not going very well, my friends, because housing prices are increasing, especially in tourist areas, and the government is already taking black backlash with this. Okay, and there are going to be municipal elections here, and they are like an example of the way the country is going for the politicians. Municipal elections are very important here, and they are like this. You know what this means? This means they fear. In Portuguese, it's not like the Italians when they do this. Okay, when a Portuguese does this means fear. They are afraid. Okay, and yet you in the UK, at least a large majority of you, you choose to continue with your little narrative of yes, we were right in doing Brexit, or we want to return also, instead of reading things and seeing how that actually can happen and how many things have to change. You can continue with that now. Oh, we can bend it, or no, 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 no. You can do what Starmer is trying to do, and for your sake, I hope he is successful in doing, approaching the UK a bit more to the EU, to balance things out in order to have less friction of commerce, less friction of the movement of people, and all of that, to solve a lot of problems, because there are a lot of problems right now that can be solved simply. But look, this rant has gone for too long. If anyone is offended by it, well, either comment civilly or don't comment. I'm not earning any money with this. I could care less. I'm giving my opinion, not offending anyone, just talking, and whatever. Have yourselves a great evening.